Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today's pick a card, we're asking what spiritual superpowers do you have? What sort of abilities have you developed really well? You're now kind of employing in one way, consciously or unconsciously, to your highest good, all of that kind of thing. And so we'll be looking sort of firstly at how they might manifest as sort of spiritual gifts or divinatory gifts, that kind of thing. But we'll also be looking at how that's operating in the world, both like in relation to external things, in relation to other people, in relation to your own internal journey, but also what areas do you need to be aware not to neglect, so that so that you don't get imbalanced. And the concept there, so I don't have to sort of explain it each time, is when you say train a muscle, like you do, like maybe you do some training for your upper body, for instance. If you don't actually do something for your lower body, then your lower body will be disproportionately weak compared to your upper body. Like, it's important to have symmetry and balance. So if you are focusing on certain things like the acquisition of knowledge and ritual and the mysteries, for instance, it's also important to understand practical applications and material outcomes, for instance. Or if you are looking at manifestation, it's also important to be looking at like connections with others and understanding how what you're trying to draw in from the universe could affect others and that kind of thing. So we'll be looking at that, and then sort of how this is operating for fortune for you. So that's sort of the territory. There's probably not much else I need to say in terms of explanation. I think it'll be pretty obvious as we go through. For the choice, we're using the Divination of the Ancients deck, and so there's the card that you see, and there's two others, I don't know what they are underneath, and they will be kind of a bit of an amalgam of your spiritual superpowers, and then we'll explore those with tarot and some occult tarot, sorry, and then also with some other oracles for what else we can find out. So this may help you choose. Go to more than one if you want. You could have a whole plethora of spiritual superpowers at the moment. That's completely up to you. But pile number 1 is book and knowledge. Pile number 2 is dowsing rods and seeker. Pile number 3 is tarot and guidance. If you know what reading you want to go to, the timestamps are in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So you have an interesting combination here because you came to the Book of Destiny, the book, the knowledge. I mean, it's called the Book of Destiny. So to me, that shows a spiritual superpower which has to do with knowledge, understanding, the gathering of wisdom, usually something that you probably have researched or looked into. So for most of you, I would say that you have maybe an innate sort of sense of drawing to certain mysteries, certain approaches, certain spiritual knowledge bases and so forth, which with a little bit more application you would have even more of if you need it, or you may be very, very well developed. There is also another side to this particular card, which is like bibliomancy. So you might actually have an ability to open a book and see a message. I think many use the Bible, but you don't just have to use the Bible for that. But what really interests me in not only having that, which tells me that part of your spiritual superpower is that you will be well researched, you know what you're dealing with, you have knowledge. It's not just, instinctively I feel this, or, I had a dream and so this is what it all means. You've actually done the research to understand the traditions and so forth, one or more that you are very well versed in. The fact that it's called the Book of Destiny, and then we have astrology with destiny, I think that some of you may be astrologers. If not, you have a pretty good basis in astrology or understanding the stars and have probably done some study in it. And it might suggest do even more if you haven't, because you might have an innate ability. If you are an astrologer, I think you're very good at understanding not only how to see what's in the signs of the stars and the patterns of the stars and connect it back to actual research. And the best astrologers, I've got to tell you, do a lot of research and do a lot of study around it. I came across somebody via a recommendation from somebody, I'm not going to know names or whatever, who this person recommended as a reader and an astrologer, but when I looked at what they offered, they talked about a comprehensive book or something on astrology. I can't remember the exact terminology, but it was something like that, and it was about 200 pages long. And I thought, this person probably means well, but they don't really know much about astrology if they think you can do something comprehensive in 200 pages. If you are going to do astrology, you are going to have to crack open the books, and there's a lot of them, and it's a lifelong study. But it is also a study of how it is practically applied. And so I think, there is definitely the sense of both of those things. And the fact that we've got ornithomancy there, which is actually the reading of patterns with birds. But what it really is talking about there is being able to pick up the synchronicities and the signs as well. So it says that you're very well versed in astrology or some other system. You have a good sense and a good connection with the stars, but you also see the synchronicities. So you hear the universe talking, or see the universe talking, I guess, in a very direct way with spirit, but you're also very knowledgeable. So your superpower is a kind of combination of knowledge of the patterns and the timing of things and where something might be free will, choice, fate or destiny, but you also are very good at seeing the signs and in the sense of how the universe is talking to you. So you're kind of a mix of knowledge and visual, I would say very visual, intuitive understanding. So let's have a look. We're going to firstly with tarot. I'm going to use the occult tarot because I thought it was a good tarot to use for this. We're going to firstly look at how your superpowers are manifesting now. And what I'm particularly looking at, apart from whatever the classic meaning of the cards is if there are a lot of major arcana cards, then it's having some very big impacts on material things in your life. If there are a lot of court cards, it's telling us that other people are involved. And if it is minor arcana, it's telling us things that are going on within your own journey internally and how these superpowers are operating at the moment. So we have the Five of Swords, the Hanged Man, the High Priestess reversed, the Eight of Pentacles, the Hierophant, and the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, this is probably pretty well balanced actually, which sort of makes sense between someone who's very well read, who knows their stuff, who has a kind of superpower also with words or with communication and so forth, the stars and the visual signs. In terms of what is going on for you at the moment, internally, you are developing your skills, you are studying, you do actually put the effort into that. So I'd say you would probably have at least one sort of area that you're very well versed in, but you're probably open to learning others. And I definitely would say if you haven't learned astrology yet, with these coming up and that coming up, it's a direct sign, a visual sign, if you will, from the universe that would be something you would be very good at and you would have a superpower with. So you're definitely at that stage, though, where you are trimming back on being discerning about what to look into, what to put your skills into. So that's the main thing at the moment. It's like, it feels to me like many of you have, as I say, learned one or more things at great depth. And now it's like, okay, I put a lot of effort into that. I've kind of honed my study and my research techniques. Now, how do I sort out what to look at next? And that's where I think the ornithomancy comes in. I think it's looking for signs and visions from the external. And there is a lot of the external talking to you at the moment. We have both the High Priestess reversed and the Hanged Man and the Hierophant. So the Hierophant is the learning. Like you are exceptionally good as a student of the spiritual or the occult, exceptionally good. And I would say that you probably have come in from past lives with that. But certainly that you're all over that. You could very quickly, and in fact, I actually think you would have an ability to be able to research quickly by just opening a book and finding the thing that you need to find for the research on that topic. Like I think you just hone in on it incredibly well. So that's definitely there. And there is for many of you an influence from the study that you've done, or from a study group, or from some form of, it could be mystery school or something like that, that you definitely would excel in, and you may be actually involved in doing. So this is telling you this is absolutely your sweet spot, and you would be a lifelong learner, but you're also extremely good just at learning and understanding things. What also is being asked of you at the moment is, I think, to take it a little bit out of the schoolroom and into the world. So take a little bit from the books into, what is the planetary energy doing and what is the world telling you? Because the High Priestess reverse is bringing things out into the world. The Hanged Man is saying that it's now time to, like, externally cut back on just hitting the books and now taking this energy out. It's like it's kind of It's maybe that this is an ability that's a bit stuck in theory and it's now time to take it into practice. And the thing that's going to trigger that is something where a person around you either makes you question your commitment to something. So if you had studied a particular methodology, for instance, say you went off and you were in the Order of the Golden Dawn or something, you might find that somebody with a different viewpoint, when you sort of get out and talk about it, actually makes you go, well, I'm happy to take from that, but now I need to look at other things as well. And that kind of grows your ability to learn other things, because it feels as though there is another person, probably a woman with the Queen of Pentacles, but it doesn't have to be. It could be a man with very feminine energy that is making you think about, like, almost going and finding what is you. That's the other thing here, I think. It's like, it's a bit like someone who's been an initiate and an adept, and now it's time, if you are going to be a magus, who are you, as opposed to just being part of like study. So I think you as a group have studied a lot. You're very good at that. But you are meant to now streamline it down and bring it out to the world in something that is you, because you can't manifest it until you actually commit to what that means to you. So that's a very strong message for you, saying you're ready to do that. So what areas do you need to balance? So like, it's already starting to say it in a way. It's kind of balancing what is going on in the world. But let's just see, what do you need to balance? If you're extremely good at research and understanding systems, and also, as I say, picking up the signs from the universe, what other skills or abilities do you need to just remember so that you don't neglect it? Because these are the ones that come really naturally, to get a kind of holistic view of your spiritual superpowers. 7 of Pentacles reversed, the Toll Keeper reversed, 5 of Wands, 2 of Pentacles reversed, the Devil. Okay, the first thing that is saying, is very, very clear, is that, and it's picked up here with the Queen of Pentacles reversed, just what I was saying, is that there is a bit of a risk for you at the moment, because you were so good at the study and the understanding of the systems, the understanding of how the planets move, the understanding of like signs and synchronicities, that it becomes too theoretic. There is definitely a need to think about the growth of material choices coming out of this. You have a little bit of an aversion to it. You worry to some degree that if you focus too much on the material, you'll actually get trapped in the material. So there may be, for some of you, that kind of view of, like the material world is too low vibrational. But this is like, it's all part of what we're here to do. We're meant to be in the material world as well as developing ourselves spiritually. So it doesn't have to be a trap. Of course it becomes a trap if you go, the only thing I want to do is manifest millions of dollars and that's it. Of course that becomes a trap. But otherwise it won't. So I think that there's definitely, don't neglect the material outcomes and the material choices that are associated with this. And a good example of that with astrology, is that you can see propitious times, to make material choices or to go for a job or whatever it might be. And that is a good and useful way of not just having the theory of it, but looking at it in practice. The other thing too, again with astrology as an example, this is conflict, not a high level conflict, but it is conflict. And I think this might be partly that why there is a need to now expand into what you want to manifest and who you want to be, as opposed to just study. Because I feel like there's a sense here where it's asking, particularly with the two characters in black when everybody else is in red, it's like it's asking you to not avoid being different and not to avoid debate. So you need to have a point of view yourself. It looks to me like with the Toll Keeper reverse, the Toll Keeper upright is, what the price we pay for our spiritual growth. So I think there is a kind of avoidance of some of the prices that could pay, which comes in being in the material world and connecting with others. So for you, it's like you really do know your stuff, but you need to take it to balance it out. Even though this will be your superpower, but to balance it out, it needs a connection with others and it needs a connection with the material world. Okay, so what would you find from others? If that's what you have to bring to the table, what could others bring to you? Particularly for you, as that seems to be an important thing. Like, don't disconnect from others. And don't think it's automatically going to be, if you're different, there's a debate, because it doesn't have to be like that. You're actually really knowledgeable, so you should feel confident. So what can others bring? Judgment, Three of Swords reversed, Six of Wands reversed. Okay, there's a kind of a healing that others can bring. This looks to me as though part of what made you go into the study and to make everything such an interior thing for you, it's very interior. It's knowledge, it's understanding of psychology, systems, signs, all of that kind of thing, rather than enacting it, is because at some point you weren't recognized or you were separated out from, when you maybe had a nascent idea or something, you kind of had a sense of things. This looks to me like there was a point at which other people separated out from you and did not recognize you. So you have actually looked a lot at, I have to learn, I have to be an expert. Now there is a potential for healing of that. And there is a potential for shifting the judgments of others. So I think what it is saying is that if you sort of started off doing this and like you just had some ideas and you felt people dismissed it or you weren't high enough in an initiate sort of like structure or whatever, you are now at the point where you could come out and find you are going to be accepted and you are going to be recognized. So if this drove you to do this, what it drove you to do was find out who you really were, because you really are exceptional at learning this stuff and seeing the signs. You're exceptionally good at the theory of this and the signs and symbols and like how the universe talks and all of that kind of thing. Now you are at a point where you can actually share that and show it off. But I think you have, and that's what people offer to you, that capacity to do that and to close out one cycle and open up a more healed one and to heal some sort of wound. So you're ready to do that, pile one. Okay, so let's get you a couple of systems. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to be looking at entities from various major spiritual systems, and I'm going to check them in the book because I want to talk to you about all the versions of it, because it really is just a bit of a sign if there's something else you wanted to study or something you wanted to really come out with first if you already know it, or that you have a particular drawing to Egypt or something. Here are the Egypt versions of it, just to give you a sense of some energy and systems that could be worth looking into to enhance your superpowers. So we're just going to get two cards from the Altar Oracle. Firstly, we have Luthia, and secondly, we have Maratha. Okay, firstly, just by the by, because you have astrology, I think it's particularly important to talk about this. Luthia is connected to Neptune, which is that sort of psychic ability. I think it connects a lot to seeing the signs and the symbols from other worlds and other dimensions. Maratha connects to Mars, so I think this is where there is actually meant to be an action coming out of this, in actually taking something out in the world and putting this into action rather than just theory. So there's a lot of energy and information that comes through the Neptunian side, but you're meant to do something with it. So looking at Luthia first, she is inspired by Eleuthia Taureret, so that's Taweret, Mokosh and other midwives. So if you wanted to look up either her name or others, you may find particular systems. She represents the miracle of birth and rebirth. She said, and that's interesting with judgment. There is kind of, by reconnecting with others now and coming out into the world, it's like a rebirth of your abilities. To encounter Luthia is above all a reminder. Forget for a moment who you think you are and remember who you truly are. But you don't have to be literally reborn in order to recognize and integrate the forgotten pieces of yourself. Be a good parent to yourself and you will become a well-rounded person. So you can be complete in the world, it's saying. So I think that for some of you, these might be untapped as well. It may be that it's calling to you to study astrology, to work out the system that works for you, to study that, because it will be remembering who you are. If you are thinking, oh, look, I don't know, I haven't really studied, this is a call to study because you are going to be exceptional at it. And that gets you into the Neptunian energy. Then when we go to Maratha, we're connecting to the Mars energy. She's inspired by Athena, so there's Greek system, Kali, Kahina, other war maidens. So she represents necessity and may entail either acceptance, tact, or wrath, depending on the situation. I think there is a need to accept that you have to act and to right or wrong, I think, where you weren't recognized. In order to do what is necessary, one must know what they want and fight for it if the need arises. It's a call to revolution, whether against an oppressive external force or against a repressive inner spirit that no longer serves your better interests. Become a strategist. So yes, knowing that you have all this information and all these signs, that makes you the ultimate strategist, but you need to act and do something with it. And those systems, if you haven't looked into them, ones like, Kali's system or Athena's system or whatever, could be a help for you. So it's just really to give you a sense about the types of energies that might connect, might be watching over you at the moment, but which also might give you a kind of a line, a point towards, where you are heading to next. So with that, let's see messages from the liminal space. And then this is the Neptune moon, which fits a lot with you because of Luthia. So we're just going to get 3 messages also to give you any other information around the next steps for your spiritual superpowers. All that sparkles, valuable metals and minerals. So this would be suggesting, like when you're looking at for signs, I mean, as I say, ornithomancy is about bird movement, but it's really anything in the material world. I also think it's pointing to moving into the material world more generally. But it would suggest that you have a natural affinity with crystal energy, that kind of thing. So use that. If you haven't studied it already, study it, because again, you're going to pick it up like that. And it is actually something helpful for you. Then secondly, we have cloak of confusion, mind fog or forgetfulness. Okay, so this may be, for some of you, this might be a wake-up call to go and study because it's all there and you've forgotten it. And that might be this. It might be reconnecting you to something you were victorious with before. Otherwise, it could be that you have studied so much now and not applied it that it starts to get confusing. So again, it's the need for action. It's almost like you can't live in theory forever. You do need to act. And divided paths, separated. Okay. This is back to this, I think. I think it's sort of saying that for those of you who absolutely align with the concept that you've done lots of study, it may be now the time to discern what path to take. And astrology could help you with that, as could the signs. It could be you could continue to study and study and study, but you've got to do something with it. Now you actually have to trim back, divide out, and go forward with what is action calling to you. You might have been separated from somebody, though. For some of you, this may reconnect you with someone you were separated from, someone you had a very strong heart connection with, someone that has a very strong karmic connection. It may bring a karmic connection in, and that may trigger you. And you might go, okay, I've been doing all the theory. Now I've got to do the practice because I've just met someone and I think, I knew them in a past life. But this is either you needing to trim back and work out what now to act on, or it is something that's going to connect you with someone. So, watch for the signs and so forth. Don't have your head always in a book, pile 1. Okay, let's look at some astro energy as well too. So we're just going to get one for each of the superpowers, just sort of some astrology energy. And we've already got astrology. Astrology is very strong for you, as we've seen. But an astro pairing around the study and the books and the knowledge and the understanding and possibly the bibliomancy, as I say. We have, now this is a weird card because it says Moon and Mercury, but it has Moon and Mars. So to me, it was obviously a mistake, but I work with it. I work with the energy. And so I would be saying that there is 2 steps to this. Moon and Mercury is like you do have a psychic way of being able to kind of read, study, get to the core of things. But then Mercury has to turn to Mars. So we have to kind of go, what action do you take? So I think it's just reminding you can very quickly pick up things and study things and find the key points, but then you're meant to act with it. With astrology, Moon and Chiron. Okay, that's how you're going to understand people. There is some sort of issue around people where I think that you either were separated from someone or you weren't recognized. This astrology really helps you understand that. It heals a lot. One of the really important things I think that astrology gives us, if we can look at our charts fairly dispassionately, we can work out in this lifetime what is the best way that we can fulfill what we need to fulfill. Everybody wants to think we're free with everything, and maybe we are to some extent, but it's sort of like, yeah, you're free to keep trying things that astrologically aren't going to work out, or you could be free to choose to use the energies the best way possible, because that's what the divine knows is going to take you where you need to go in the best way. So I think there's something about using astrology to heal wounds, both for yourself and possibly for others. If you wanted to do astrology professionally, you may be very healing for people. And then around the ornithomancy, which is the seeing the signs, whether it's birds or other things in nature and so forth. We have Saturn and Pluto. Okay, this is meant to be the thing that makes you decide what you take forward of the study into what you want to change. So it's almost like a series for you. It's like it starts with the study, whether it's formal study in some sort of system, whether it's your own kind of eclectic study, whatever you do. You do the study, then you work out how does that fit with your destiny and how does it fit with the interactions you want with others. And then you use the signs to say what needs to consolidate and what needs to change. You're very good at being able to work out how to go with the tides of destiny and fate and recognize the difference between free will, fate, and destiny because of this. And that's how you best use it. But there is action required for you. Okay, so lastly, what we're going to do is we're just going to get a fortune energy from you from the Occult Lenormand, so the sister deck to the Occult Tarot. So I'd ask you to think of a number between 1 and 5, and whatever that one is going to be the fortune energy that's around your spiritual superpower at the moment. So pause if you need to, because I'm about to deal out. So for number 1, we have child. For number 2, we have tree. For number 3, we have house. For number 4, we have dog. And for number 5, we have fox. Okay. So if you chose number 1, this is meant, there's something new you're meant to begin. So like if you've done a lot of study and you've got to a particular point, you're either meant to go to a new level or study something new. Part of this is working out what to do next. It could be also that you're meant to create something of your own. If you've spent a lot of time studying, it may be time to do your own piece of work around what you've studied and show that to people. Sorry, I just realised that probably not seeing the cards properly here. So there's something new. If you chose number 2, anything you do with this superpower is going to bloom. It is absolutely, you are exceptionally good at this. And once you bring all these things together and you decide to act, anything, any seed that you plant is going to bloom. Have faith. The tree is probably the best card in the Lenormand deck. It is an extremely positive omen. If you chose number 3, there's something about taking, I think, your knowledge and your understanding of people psychologically, of systems and of signs to find for yourself a secure place to live, a secure place to be with others. This is about finding what is secure in you and what will last for you. If you chose number 4, I think that this person coming in, because I think there is someone coming in for some of you, is a very good friend, first and foremost. They may be more than that. Could be a lover or something like that, but they're extremely good friend. And it does indicate that you could help an extremely good friend using these sort of superpowers at the moment. If you chose number 5, it's asking you to be a bit strategic with it and asking you to be a bit wary of others. Use the knowledge that you have, the signs that you have, and particularly your psychological knowledge, because that's what astrology really is, to be able to discern who to connect with and who to move away from. There is something about that right now for you, but you have kind of the theoretic knowledge and the psychological knowledge. Just look for the signs and use your discernment in that regard. So I hope that resonated for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with dowsing rods, Seeker. And in combination with Wheel of Fortune, Fate, and Crystal Ball Clarity, I would say you're almost like a tuning rod for the universe. Like you have an exceptionally strong ability, a superpower in terms of picking up energy and visions and understanding where they may be directing you, what paths to go on, and how to have more choice around that. I feel how to understand literally with the Wheel of Fortune, just like in the tarot, when it is rising, when it is good, the energy is good and propitious to move forward. When it is better to wait, to rest, to gather your energy and so forth, so that you are not so much not a victim of fate. I mean, none of us are victims of fate, but you're not so much a follower of fate, but more an understanding of the energies and the timing of things. With dowsing rods, You may literally know how to use these and be able to use them, in which case you are very, very good at them. It is a superpower. If not, you might want to try using it. I mean, effectively, it is an interesting skill that seems to combine both what I would call a kinesthetic or material spiritual superpower of connecting with the energies around and finding those energies in material places, because it's normally, looking for particular things in the earth is normally the way that it's done, but it can also be like, looking for lost keys and that kind of thing. So there's that kind of thing. It's a really interesting energy, like the energies that are almost magical and non-corporeal being used as a tuning fork, as I say, to find things that are very corporeal and very material. So there's definitely that possibility around the dowsing rods. Otherwise, it could just be that you are very good at picking up subtle energies, both in the sense of feeling them, like kinesthetically, as I say, feeling them in your hands, feeling in the way that the dowsing rods would go, or any other thing, like your body being a very good barometer, gut instinct being very powerful, but also visually with crystal ball, with clarity. So I think it's sort of saying you're a bit of a combination. You do get, the way the lightning rod seems to be going through, or the lightning seems to be going through the crystal ball there. I think you get visions as well as energetic feelings. So, if you were talking about your spiritual superpower in almost NLP terms, neuro-linguistic programming, you would be very visual and very kinesthetic. What that does, though, for you with the Wheel of Fortune, with fate, is I think that allows you to see kind of prophetically what is likely to come up, what are possible futures and so forth, but also to feel the energy and know when to move forward or not. I sort of feel like you could have been a bit like a Nostradamus or something back in the day in a medieval court, literally telling kings and queens when it was propitious to go to war, to be diplomatic, whatever it might be, by understanding fate. The other thing about fate that I find interesting, which to me does actually align really strongly with the Wheel of Fortune concept within the tarot, is that it's not fixed. And it is very much understanding yourself and how you work with energies and when to, as I say, move forward and when to rest. I tend to agree with Carl Jung that fate is kind of our shadow or our lack of understanding of ourselves projected out into the world until we understand what it is. So with this sort of clarity and with a real sense of self, a kinesthetic sense of self, I think you have a superpower in understanding what is within yourself and what is external, and being able to kind of balance those to work out the best time to move forward. Because if we don't understand what's internal, like shadow and otherwise, we do project out a lot and would completely distort the clarity and the accuracy. So I think that your superpower is one part, as I say, being this amazing tuning rod, both visually and physically, but you're also very self-aware. So that allows you to use that energy to its best way, its best ability. So what we're going to do with tarot is we're going to look at how this is playing out, how your superpower is playing out. And we're going to very specifically look at it, both in what you would normally read the tarot cards as saying, but also if we have major arcana cards, it's saying there are external factors impacting this quite a bit. If we see quite a lot of minor arcana, that's internal factors. So this becomes even more important there, whereas external are more this and that's more internal. And if we have court cards, other people, relationships with other people, how you view other people is important. So we're going to look at that. Then we're going to have a look at what areas you need to balance in the way I discussed in the introduction around making sure your spiritual body is as healthy and in alignment and not overdeveloped in one and underdeveloped in another area as your material body should be. And then thirdly, we'll have a look at what others can bring to the table to complement your spiritual superpowers. So firstly, a little bit more about them. 10 of Pentacles reversed, 7 of Swords, 2 of Swords reversed, 6 of Pentacles, Queen of Wands, the Magician. Okay. This is why I was getting Nostradamus. I'll get to this a little bit later, but that's why I'm not saying you were Nostradamus necessarily, but something a bit like that. I'm going to get to that. The rest of this is all very much within you. So this is why the Wheel of Fortune is important. Like part of your superpower is how you're moderating and understanding the energies within yourself. I feel literally like the Two of Swords here is like the dowsing rods before you use them. And I think that there has been some material difficulty that triggers this, or that triggered it to start with. If you started to develop, it might have been, because there was some loss or some change or something didn't feel materially stable. You started to try and learn about this. Otherwise, that's what's happening right now. And you're finding you have this ability. This is the clarity and the strategy that comes with the clarity. But where you don't know, this is you particularly use the seeker energy. You use the kind of the visual more for clarity, I think, more for like a kind of intellectual affirmation of what you're picking up within your body. The interesting thing about you is it is energy going through your body, and you are able to do this, but I think you often feel detached from your body. So I think, oddly enough, the dowsing rods ground you to your body. That's why something like that is important. Some sort of physical thing. If it's not a dowsing rod, it could be a pendulum, it could be a coin that you toss. And I feel it's much more like that. It needs to be something that is very material and that the energy can move through, as opposed to visual. Because visual you can do, like crystal ball, you could even do with tarot, but it's kind of more the intellectual synthesis of what's coming through. But because you detach a bit from your body, I think you're often a bit detached from your body. This grounds you to your body and allows you to then get more clarity in what you're making a decision about. And that's important. It's very important. If you are to get the best benefit out of this, you have to ground to your body. It has to be material in some way. Then we get to what I feel is almost the fate energy, because there's someone you could potentially aspire to be like, as with the Queen of Wands here. Somebody who's a good teacher, or somebody whose example is good. Otherwise, there is someone, I think this group could work with or for someone quite powerful. That's why I was getting the Nostradamus thing. And then you've got the magician. There's like a calling to you to become the magician, to become that. But like at the moment, what it's saying is that oddly enough, this is why it's a superpower, because you are so in the energetic field that like you have to ground it to be able to use it. But it's very, very powerful. Like you are the instrument that does it. It's just that your body and whatever material thing you use helps you to actually ground it enough to bring it through, and then your mind can synthesize it. But your mind needs that. Because you're almost a bit detached from the world in a way. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's what's creating the superpower. But it would be interesting. What we're going to look at next is, what do you need to balance this with? What do you need in terms of the rest of your kit bag, so that you don't overdevelop this and maybe underdevelop something else, and so then create a weakness in your sort of spiritual superpowers, so to speak. So let's see, what do you need to balance? Or do you need to balance? I mean, it might sort of say this is actually exactly where you need to be, but let's just see what we get on what do you need to balance to get if you could imagine it, a nicely proportioned spiritual superpower body. Hanged Man, 10 of Cups, Wheel of Fortune. Oh, look at that. King of Wands reversed, 7 of Pentacles reversed. Okay. One of the things that you may sacrifice, you look at this, like if you're out of your body quite a bit, you come in through the mind and through these energies and reading for stuff, and you maybe eventually, if not already, work for powerful people and kind of use it on a magical level, is that you may be sacrificing your own emotional side of things. There's not a lot of emotion within this. It's kind of the material energy, the kind of almost electric energy and visual energy. So as I said, if I was saying NLP, I would be saying you're very visual and very kinesthetic, but the kind of, there's like the empathic sort of side of things, maybe not so strong. I mean, that's not really a side of NLP, I suppose. It's more oral there. But I feel like there's a sacrifice of there's a risk of a sacrifice of emotional happiness and emotional connection with this. And again, you may have done it because, like, there could have been, for some of you, this happened because of some trauma in your childhood or with your family, or disconnection from your family. But that is something like finding your soul family, if it's not your blood family, or reconnecting with your family or your emotions in some way if you disconnected from that. Like it's there's a sacrifice you've done there, and it is a bit of, it's the one area you are, when it comes to like the material side of things and the visionary side of things and the consequential side of things, you're all over this. You really know. But emotionally, there is some shadow there or some issues that you might project out on others that detaches you from others. And particularly if you are working with powerful people, and I think some of you, if you aren't already, will be. And that keeps you out of your body. Like there's an interesting thing going on with you. Like you do need to use this. And as I say, you need to use some sort of a tool to do it. And if you haven't already done it, you will be brilliant at it because it's the one piece of the puzzle that you need to bring together. And you need to do that to ground yourself. But you are dealing with highly creative and or power-oriented energies. And it's highly magical. Like you are highly magical. But it's like without that connection to the heart, and with some of that projected out, it's possible that you don't ground enough. You're always a little bit away from what this could be. And it's almost like you could end up using this always for the benefit of others and their power rather than for making yourself happy. So it's just something to be aware of, pile 2. Because it's powerful. It is powerful, but it's like that's an issue. So let's have a look and see what could other people bring to the table for you to help. Queen of Pentacles reversed, the Devil, King of Cups, Ten of Wands. You need to be freed from something. You're at the moment, like this group, I don't know what it is, and it'll be different with each of you, but one of the reasons that you're a bit detached from yourself materially is either you've been in a very power-oriented family or you're born into a power-oriented bloodline or something like that. And it's almost detached you from your body. And you need to be able to come back into it to be able to fully manifest what you can do. But you do need to detach from some people, some systems that are trapping you. So it's almost like you're trapped in a particular spiritual tradition or a particular culture or a particular dominant family or a particular organization. There's something where you're actually, because you're able to detach and be in the liminal, that's happening because that's part of your superpower to escape a situation that you're not meant to be committed to. So others can help you heal by connecting you back to your heart. So that's why the heart is an important thing here. But you need to let down the burden. There's an ego burden operating with this. So for some of you, you may have been born into a family that's very competitive, very power-oriented, maybe powerful in the literal sense, but like oriented in that way. And you need to let go of that burden, free yourself from that so that like more heart-centered energy can connect. And if it's not family, it could be an organization you're in, it could be a group you're with. You really are a natural magician, actually, but the problem is that there's something about the material world that feels like a trap to you. So you've got to come to terms with that and reconnect with your heart because you can't fully activate your spiritual superpower till you do that. So let's see what systems or gods or entities could help. So I'm going to use the Altar Oracle, which has gods and goddesses that are across all sorts of cultures, and for each they say what their counterparts are. So I'm just going to tell you the counterparts as well as what it's talking about, because there could be something in one of the counterparts if you look up, or the one that it's called, that directs you towards some sort of system or understanding or culture that would actually really resonate with you or help with this. So we'll just get to. So firstly, we have Judicia. So it's got something about fairness and balance and so forth. Libra is important there. So yeah, the right people, the right society, all of that kind of thing. Helping to make choices as well, helping to make balanced choices, with the dowsing rods and the clarity of the crystal ball. And secondly, we have Agrion. Okay, and that's being in the material world fairly clearly. That's obviously got something to do with agriculture. So I'm just going to pause and get them in the book because I do want to tell you the different gods and goddesses that are associated with these energies. Okay, so Judicia is associated with Libra and with Venus. So this may be particularly important with love, but it might be also connecting your clarity and your choices also back to the heart. So what it says is she's inspired by Justitia, Ishtar, Arta, and the Justices. She represents the power of selection, which decides who is worthy of society. These days, justice is relegated to reactionary institutions where one is only put on trial when they've already broken the law. But trials of adolescents during their coming of age used to determine whether or not they deserve to be citizens in the first place. So, yeah, I think there's something about your upbringing and the sense of self, and this is about getting you back into your body and understanding who you are. To encounter just judicia or any of these judicia is a test. Are you worthy? Have you ever thought more deeply about what traits you're selecting for or being selected for in relationships? You should. Judgment is necessary for socialization. Without it, society reverts back to the jungle. So I definitely think there's something here about using your superpowers to find the right people so that you can be more present in your own body and therefore increase the superpowers and also bring the heart in as the bit that you don't want to get out of balance. Then when we look at Agrion, that's connected to Ceres, which is hearth and home, and Virgo. Inspired by Frey, Granos, Telepinu, and other farmers, Agrion represents labour, its fruits and its seeds, which keep the circle of life going on indefinitely. Fertility gods do not give freely. Some fruits must be sacrificed and offered back to the earth. Well, you need to come back to the earth. I think this is the thing. If the next harvest is going to be abundant. To encounter Agrion means that there is much work to do, but hard work is worthwhile. Complacency is not sustainable. Invest now and you will one day share in the fruits of your labour. So this is very much about, there is a real call to you because that is what activates your superpower and your capacity to actually control fate in some ways. But while you're detached, it's harder to do. You have all these abilities, but it's kind of saying something, you've got to connect to your heart and be comfortable in your body, then that actually comes into being. Okay, so let's also get some messages from the Neptune Moon Oracle for you. Firstly, we have renewal, emergence, new beginnings. Yeah, it's sort of like that. It is like a rebirth. If you actually come back into your body more, not be so detached, it's like it is a renewal. It's a rebirth. It's going to bring you power, not trap you. You're worried it's going to trap you, but it's not going to. Secondly, we have navigating spirit, direction of your journey. Yeah, and it gives you the direction. Because once you've done that, once you're really back within the world, you know what path to follow. And it is a superpower. And genetic alchemist, unlocking ancient codes. So yeah, this is why I was getting the Nostradamus thing as well too. There's something in your DNA. It is something in your DNA, and it will connect back to your heart if you connect back into your body. But for some reason, you've detached from it. It could be to do with ancestral healing that needs to occur. I'm not sure. But there's something very deep there, and that is the way you unlock this superpower. Until you do that, you're cheating yourself. Not only cheating your fate, but you're cheating yourself. Okay. So let's get you some astrology pairings just to get a little bit more information on each of these things. So when we talk about crystal ball and clarity, the visionary side of things, we have Mars and Saturn. Okay, so this is your clarity gives you the action and what you need to break through and change. And it gives you also the evidence you need in some way. The moment you are relying on your mind and your visions to be your evidence, you will get a lot more evidence the more you're in your body. I mean, you're already probably able to do this, but you'll be able to do it even more. But at the moment, that's where you're getting your grounding and your choice for what action to take. So then if you get into your body more and really activate the superpower, the dowsing rod thing, we have Sun and Uranus. Yeah, then you have the breakthrough that you need to follow your own fate and your own life path. And then when we're talking about your fate and we're talking about the Wheel of Fortune, Jupiter and Chiron, the healing occurs, which we're seeing here. An expansion occurs and you are meant to do well and be abundant and all that kind of thing because Agrion can bring in abundance if you do the work. So that's what it's saying. It's actually saying it's all there for you, pile 2. It's just if something has like almost scared you out of your own power, so you're meant to kind of come back into it. Okay, so last but not least, we're going to get a fortune energy for you, which sort of fits when we had the Wheel of Fortune. We're using the Occult Lenormand that goes with the Occult Tarot. I want you to choose a number between 1 and 5 because depending upon that will be your last message or fortune around this particular reading. If you need to pause now and then restart because I'm about to lay them out. So number 1, key. Number 2, stork. Number 3, fox. Number 4, clover. Lovely. Number 5, bear. Okay, if you chose number 1, there is a key that is about to unlock this door. I think the key is understanding how to ground yourself and trust yourself and trust your bodily messages, because they're the primary one. That's the one that brought you here, but you kind of rely a little bit more on your mind and the energies or whatever. So understand you're the key, and a key, there is a door that is about to be unlocked. There is a potential that's about to be open for you. If you chose number 2, stork means something good is coming, something new is coming. It's sometimes around things like, messages of childbirth and family and so forth. So if you are looking to use this to find a family and be happy in that, or if you're looking for that, then being more and more in your body and using your superpowers is drawing in that if you're looking for it. But it doesn't have to be as specific as that. It's certainly news and information coming that is positive. If you chose number 3, whatever it was that made you separate out, whether it was past life stuff, dealing with, medieval courts, as I kept getting Nostradamus, or something else, you do have to be a bit wary. That's the other reason you need to do this. You need all your superpowers if you chose number 3, because there are some people around you that are not best to trust. But there are some you can trust. So the issue is knowing which ones to trust and which ones not to trust. If you chose number 4, this is a very lucky reading. It is saying that it is lucky to get the reading, and you should believe in luck. You should believe in good fortune. And again, come more within yourself and actualize that abundance. And if you chose number 5, this is something big. There's a big thing you're meant to do with this. And so Spirit is kind of relying on you to use the superpowers for some very big cause. So don't underestimate what you're meant to do in the world. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with tarot. Along with that, we have the scrying mirror and the dictionary in communication. Probably of all of the 3, this is the one that I would say is most strongly divinatory. Like there are different sorts of spiritual superpowers we can have, and to some degree, because this is the Divination, the Ancients deck, there's a bit of a tilt towards that, but I think that this one is the one that is most likely to use divinatory tools as the primary sort of things that we're seeing here, like being an adept at a number of different divinatory tools is your superpower. Because we have tarot to start with. It may very well be that those of you that come to my channel who are tarot readers were naturally drawn to this because you know that you're a good tarot reader, and so that's part of your superpower. You know that system very well, you know how to deal with it, you know how to provide very good guidance out of it. We've also got scrying mirror, projection, and that is the concept that you look through the mirror. You look through the mirror to see something, a vision and so forth. So there's a sense of being able to scry and get visual information. So these are both visual to a large extent, because the tarot is very visual as a medium. The symbology is very visual. So I'd say that part of your superpower in terms of divination is you are very visual, but you're also the written word, because dictionary with communication, you have a superpower being able to communicate what you see and give guidance. So you'd be excellent at doing this sort of thing, or any kind of like consultancy sort of stuff around it, coaching, mentoring, etc. But you may also be good at a thing called bibliomancy, which is where you open a book and you find the information that you need. It is actually like, you can use the Bible for that. You can use any book for it. And it's the concept that the universe will direct you towards the page and the sentences that give you the message. So you're good at that. You've either got an extremely strong spirit guide who synthesizes messages through you through different sorts of ways, or it's just a natural ability that you have. But in any case, very visual and very oral. It's those sort of things. It's not so much in the body. It's not so kinesthetic. It's not healing. It's not, I mean, you can heal people to some degree with giving them good guidance, but it's very much about seeing the visual symbology or the written messages and being able to convey them is your superpower. Or your combined set of superpowers. So let's look with tarot for a bit more detail. So firstly, I'm going to do a line where I'm not just looking at what the tarot means normally, but I am looking at how it plays out. If there are major arcana cards, then the external world is having a pretty big impact in one way or the other on your spiritual superpower or calling on it for some reason. If there are court cards, other people are having an impact. And if there are a lot of minor arcana, then there are things that you are developing within yourself that are relevant. So we'll look at that. Then we're going to have a look at how to balance this to make sure, as I said in the introduction, that you don't end up with using an athletic analogy for a spiritual body. You don't end up with a huge upper body and like a wasting away lower body, so to speak. It's sort of like, how do you make sure that you have balance? And then we'll also look at how other people can help. So firstly, a bit more about this sort of like very high level superpower in terms of divination and messages and guidance and that kind of thing. King of Swords, Two of Swords reversed, Seven of Swords, Ten of Cups, Page of Swords reversed, Page of Wands. Gee, there's a lot of other people associated with this. I think you are probably a group. If you aren't already using your superpower in some sort of like business, or you're not doing this for friends or family, or you aren't doing some sort of consultancy and using it either directly or indirectly, you should be. Because there's a lot of people here. And I think that what has happened is that you have developed within yourself why this isn't showing the emotional sort of stuff and why it isn't showing, like the physical, is that you're actually at a very good internal emotional equilibrium, and you've kind of worked out what it is to be happy or like whatever that means to you. And the strategy, you have a strategy for that. So that's there. And that has helped guide your choices. Like, you've known how to use these things to make choices when there isn't material evidence available, or when you're not sure what all the elements would be for a strategy, to develop a strategy to get an outcome that you are happy with. You've tried and tested this. You know it works. It works for you. It works for other people. So you're being asked to focus it on other people. You're being told there may be a very good teacher if there's any element of this you want to learn more of, or some other divination thing. Otherwise, I think there's like, if you were a coach and a mentor, it's good to have one. They normally sort of say that sort of thing. Like, if you are going to be a coach or a mentor, it's good to have one yourself. I feel like there's someone here who, at least on a theoretic level, is very knowledgeable, very fair, would be very good to work with. So that is worth seeking out if you haven't already done it. But it is important to find someone who is fair and who has ethics, because you don't want sort of someone who just wants to rule over you. This person would not. So there is an energy, there's an indication, if you don't already have a mentor or a coach to help you with this, that you could find one. But it's asking you to help people who are a bit lost in their ambition and lost, they're just confused. They don't know how to read the signs. They don't know how to do this. It's switched off in them. And in fact, you would be particularly good at doing this. Like, it's interesting because, speaking as a reader, it can be hard to read for people who are very switched off from it. Like, they're switched off from their creative side. They're switched off from hearing messages, because it can be like talking to a brick wall. Sometimes eventually the information gets through, but it doesn't always. And you sort of feel sad because you want to help the person. But you're actually very good at this. You're actually very good. And I think it might come down to the communication thing. I think there's something about the way that you do this that gets under the guard in a way, and they do take it away and they do consider it. So you're a very healing energy on that level. But it's partly because you know it works. You can probably give good examples about how it works. And once somebody has come to you and had you read for them or whatever, they go away and it works and they get happier. So it proves itself. So you're very, very good at this. And as I say, even with those that are normally have all kinds of blocks up, you can kind of disarm that and get through and get the messages to help them. So that's interesting. So very, very good. I mean, like, this was meant to be a superpower, and it truly is for you. You're very, very good at this. But there is someone who can help you as well. And it's important to always have that as a kind of because you'll pick up a lot of energy from people. You're probably going to pick up quite a lot of confusion and quite a lot of like distorted ego stuff. So this person actually helps you deal with that, so you don't take it in or take it on. So then what do you need to do to make sure that you don't overdevelop that and underdevelop other parts of your spiritual being? Nine of Wands, Wheel of Fortune reversed, the Devil, Magician, wow. Four of Swords. To some degree, you're going to be forced to develop the other areas anyway when I look at those three cards together. And you do actually have a natural ability, like other things will come out. This looks like one of the things that you have to think about, because we're looking very much around, the kind of the mental energy and all that kind of thing, is your own energy. So it's because it's not sort of like coming so much kinesthetically through the body, you have to look at your own energy levels. It would be very easy to burn out. This is possibly where this person can help you. So that's definitely a thing. Like how do you rest? How do you, if your mind is that switched on and you're so connected to the signs and the symbols, how do you switch off so that you can actually rest? That's something you need to think about. So things like meditation without looking for like all the visuals and all the symbols, but like kind of meditation that's more about the breath and all that could potentially work, or something like that gives you more energy. And that's kind of over here too. It's rest. Like the big thing you've got to do is rest, because there's a lot, you're like a lightning rod for a lot of information. And a lot gets drawn out of you when you do this to help people, particularly people who are blocked. So you do need to work out a regimen of some sort that allows for rest and recuperation. Because you're going to get known for this, I have to say. And it may even be by something like reading about and freeing something that is not good and bringing more alignment in and a better kind of magical energy. Like there's something like that. There's something very big in the material world. And it seems to be almost out of misfortune that you get known for your capacity to free the energy and make it better directed. What it reminds me of, this is not about spirituality, but it's an example of it, is that when I was doing human resources, at one point I was looking at a thing called workforce planning, which is effectively a long-range thing saying what is the changes that are going to happen in an organisation? What skills are they going to need? How is that going to change? How do you make sure you have an internal development line for that first and foremost, but also, when you need to go out externally to get the skills, what do you need to do that? And so it's kind of like having that sense of how you can strategically manage into the future. But what I found was interesting, and it's got to do with, that human psychology is such as we have a thing called the normalcy bias. So if you're in an organization that was, going okay, may not be brilliant, but it was going okay, and people were feeling happy and they were getting good performance reviews and good bonuses and all that kind of thing. Even if there was a potential, Titanic and the iceberg type disaster coming up, it was almost impossible to get people to see it. The only time you could really get people to focus on long-term change was when there was a problem to solve, when there was a reversal of fortune to deal with. It was like that's famous saying, I can't remember the name of the person, but there was a political strategist close to Obama, I think, who said, never let a good crisis go to waste. It's that kind of energy. So I feel like something like that's going to happen anyway. So you're going to focus on other things as well because you have to, but it's going to be important to have rest. That's the main thing. It's not really so much that using this ability is going to detract from something else. It's just that it's going to take so much out of you that you need to know what to do, because there's something big you're going to be involved in, I think. So then how do other people help, or how could other people with other spiritual gifts and superpowers help? Pile 3. Ace of Cups reversed. 3 of Pentacles reversed. The Emperor reversed. 7 of Cups reversed. Okay. In a weird way, I think your clients are going to help you. The problems that they bring are going to teach you what you need to do to protect your energy if you're in a more complex situation. It's almost like other people make you a little bit more dispassionate, actually. Make you know that you have to follow your own path, that you kind of like can't necessarily rely on other people. Make you know that a lot of what causes these blocks is inappropriate use of power, and to be really realistic emotionally about it. Like, you're going to need to be dispassionate. There is a point to what you're doing with your superpower. You're going to be in some sort of situation where you can't really be a bleeding heart. You're going to have to really understand things for what they are, which is why I like the fact you've got that King of Swords there. That will be helpful, because I think the main thing otherwise that people bring to you is an understanding of the issues that you're going to have to navigate, so that you get better and better and better at knowing what the signs and symbols are talking about. Okay, so let's see if we can get you some high-level deities or whatever to help. And like what I'm doing with this is that it's both to give you the deity and the energy, but also I'm going to tell you from the book all the other deities that are associated with this energy, because there could be systems, if any of them are familiar, or if you look them up, they could lead you to spiritual systems that are really useful to you to know about. So do with it what you will. First one we have is Maratha. That's interesting. She came up in one of the others. And the second one, and again, this very much fits with this, you're going to be in some sort of like power situation where action is required, and that's really what she's all about. And then the second one is, wow, thunderous. I've got a feeling that one's pretty action-oriented and power-oriented as well, but I'm just going to pause to get them in the book because I want to read you the various deities that are associated. Okay. So Maratha, as I say, is related to Mars, Aries, action, energy. She's inspired by Athena, Kali, Kahina, and other war maidens. She represents necessity, which may entail either acceptance, tact, or wrath, depending on the situation. I mean, like there's something going on that you'll have learned from some of your clients, actually. In order to do what is necessary, one must know what they want and fight for it if the need arises. She is a call to revolution, whether against an oppressive external force or against a repressive inner spirit that no longer serves your better interests. Become a strategist. That's why this King of Swords type will be helpful. Figure out who you are, who you want to be, and what is holding you back from reaching your higher self. And I think a lot of it's external forces. This is how other people help, by giving you intel. Like you're going to get intel. You're like a spiritual superpower for surveillance and espionage or something like that. When we look at thunderous, that's Sagittarius Jupiter, so that's good. Jupiter is a protective energy, but it's inspired by Thor, Zeus, Rajan, Chak, which is Chaac, and other thunderers. Represents the most popular deity in any pantheon, so that's good. Popularity, what you do would be popular. Storms provide us with perhaps the most awesome and widespread encounter with natural forces. Thunder is his voice. He smites with lightning and provides fertility with rain. Often a king of the gods, he's accompanied by a vast host of powerful forces. Yeah, there's a lot of power around this. To encounter thunderous is a thunderstorm warning. Prepare for the approaching storm. He will bring rain, perhaps light, or perhaps torrential. He may bring wildfires if there's a sufficient tinder to burn. Winds of change are coming. So, yeah, this is... You do have the ability that you need, but as I say, you need almost the context and other people, and you need to have some safe space to be able to replenish your energies, because there's a lot coming in. Okay, so let's get some messages from the Neptune moon and see if that will give some guidance as well. Survival mode, heightened alertness. I'm going to put that over here. I think that like your skills will really help you with this, but I think you're going to come across those who are in survival mode. That would fit Page of Swords reversed and Page of Wands reversed. I think that you're going to really understand an environment and a situation by the people who come to you for help. Reveal the hidden, covert. Didn't I say like espionage? I think that you will be that way. I think you're necessary, though. I think it's good that you're in the world. And cosmic reflection, universe corresponds. So, yeah, like this, the universe is sending you these messages. You've really got a correspondence with the universe. You have a communication with the universe. But yeah, there's a lot that's going to come to this. You're going to find out a lot about people, and it's going to surprise you. And the sort of people who come to you is going to surprise you, I think. But again, it's why it's important to have this sort of mentor energy as well. Okay, so let's get some astrology pairings for each element. So if we start with the scrying. Saturn and Uranus. Okay. This is to let you know when big shifts in the power matrix around you are coming. You know, scrying is going to be your best way. Like if you start to get that kind of client base coming through, or if it's not a client base, if you just read for friends, if you start to hear that sort of stuff, this is like start really looking into the scrying, because you're going to see you're going to see the oncoming storm and the shifts of structures and the shift of power way ahead of time. Tarot is Sun and Uranus. So yeah, God, the change energy around you is incredible. This is your life path. Like, this is probably why you came to tarot. You're very, very superpower around tarot. But it's around change. It's like you've got the ability. You could probably use it for other things, but you're just going to get drawn into this change energy, whether you like it or not. It's very much like tower energy, actually. That's why you've got to kind of have a place of respite in between it all. And around the dictionary, wow, Mercury and Mercury, yeah, your communication skills are off the charts. That's what that's about. I mean, it would also mean potentially being able to do bibliomancy and that kind of thing. But I think it really is your communication skills are the thing that really makes the difference here. This is why this is going to happen, because it's not just that you see this stuff and you sense it, but you understand it intellectually. You can kind of diagnose with it and you can communicate it. Wow, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish with some fortune energy using the Occult Lenormand that is the sister deck to the Occult Tarot. So I'd just like you to choose a number between 1 and 5. Pause if you need to, because I'm just about to deal out, and depending upon which number you chose, that will be the fortune energy that brings it together. So number 1, fish. Number 2, scythe. Number 3, key. Number 4, animus. And number 5, mice. Okay. So if you chose number 1 with fish, this is definitely going to make money for you. Like, it's definitely suggesting you should think about either directly or indirectly using these skills in making money and your fortune. Like, it is going to bring fortune to you. If you chose number 2 with scythe, something needs to be cut out of your life or limited in some way to really use these skills and to balance it with your energy. Or it is all this Uranian energy that you are a change agent, and when you come towards something and you see it, then it's inevitable. If you chose number 3, you are the key to this, or a key is coming to you by way of some form of communication. Either way, you probably represent a key to people in terms of the key of the information that you bring. If you chose number 4, animus here is sort of the male energy. So it's a bit like in the Lenormand, there's always a man and a woman. I do think this is connecting back to this King of Swords. I think that there is a male guide. It's probably a person, could be a spirit guide, I guess, or an ancestor or something like that, if that connects. Or if it's a woman, it's one who has a very strong masculine way of thinking, in the way that we think of divine masculine and feminine. That's going to be important to this. They may be the god, or they may be sort of someone like animus, or the sort of masculine energy might be someone who's in a power position that you get drawn towards because of this ability you have. And if you chose number 5 with mice, you really need to work out how to get your energy back and to not have this eat away at your life. Like, it's one of the things that can happen to you if you read cards for people. It's that you can almost end up feeling like you're at everybody's beck and call all the time. You need to work out some times to rest. I do a thing of saying if I get a certain number of readings in a day, I then shut the store for the rest of the day, because if I'm still reading 5 hours or 6 hours later, I'm not even going to be reading well, let alone do I not have a life. So I do think that's important. And if you're dealing with really powerful things, then mice is sort of like the slow creeping eating away at things. You may not even notice it at first, but it is really, really important if you chose number 5 to get time out, time to yourself. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.